Scrapbooking.com magazine presents the following LuminArte article from the December 2012 issue. LuminArte and Artful Fiber Go Hand in Hand by author and artist Lynn Kulish. This month, Scrapbooking.com welcomes Lynn Kulish as our guest artist filling in for Judy Kaufman. Lynn is a fiber mixed media artist, teacher, author, and editor for C&T Publishing. She loves to combine LuminArte Silk's iridescent glazes and primary elements artist pigments with a product she helped develop, Artful Fiber. Thanks for inviting me to introduce Scrapbooking.com readers to Artful Fiber. Introduced earlier this year by C&T Publishing, Artful Fiber is a reusable canvas messenger bag chock full of luscious surfaces to play with and decorate. It's the perfect match for LuminArte Silk's acrylic glazes and primary elements artist pigments. It's easier to paint surfaces before cutting or heat distressing them. Any acrylic paint will work, but I chose LuminArte Silk's acrylic glazes for the subtle shimmer and primary elements artist pigments for the extra pop of color and iridescence. First, the steps for making a little piece, followed by a project gallery. When selecting colors, I often work in a color scheme that I call analogous plus a pop. Colors that are next to each other on the color wheel plus another that gives the focal point. The range of LuminArte colors is so broad it's easy to select any color scheme you like. The background of the piece is Multex. I crumpled the Multex because it has a tendency to curl. Creases provide a place for the silk's glazes to pool and settle. Silks can be applied with a brush, but I chose a palette knife, spraying Multex with water first, then using the knife to spread and blend 4 different blues. The background is layered with both weights of Luminarte and the Spun Bond, painted with the same blues as the Multex. I wet the layers first, then, with gloves on, applied paint with my fingers. The paint is intentionally uneven. There are several layers on some of the pieces. While the paint was still wet, I sprinkled with 2 LuminArte primary elements artist pigments. The flowers are reminiscent of fuchsias, so I cut and then painted the silk cocoons a fuchsia color. Later, I cut down the cocoons a bit more. The rest of the flower is made from silk rods painted lavender. I peeled each rod into 3 pieces and stretched one long side of the rod to flute it. While the silk's acrylic glaze was still wet, I added primary elements artist pigments in a blue-purple to one edge. For texture and dimension, heat distress some of the Luminarte and Spun Bond pieces with a heat tool. Allow the heat tool to warm up and work slowly to find out where to hold it to melt the material. Practice on scraps to get the hang of it. To finish the flowers, stitch a running stitch along one long edge of the rods, doubling selected areas. Pull and secure the thread to gather the rods. Then glue the rods into the cocoon. Stitch pieces of heat-distressed Luminarte onto the Multex background and add a feathery yarn stem. Accent with pearl cotton for more color and texture. Add the flowers to finish the piece. Following is a project gallery showing just a few of the other things you can make using fiber and paint. To view the entire project gallery as well as a complete list of supplies, please visit scrapbooking.com. To find the products featured in this article and shown in these projects, check with your local scrapbook retailer. Browse our premier retail stores for coupons to a store near you. We hope you enjoyed this article. Don't miss the rest of the great articles and features in this month's issue of Scrapbooking.com magazine.